I am going to say something today that might make you uncomfortable. In fact, this is the last message that I thought I would share with somebody. And the message is that sometimes you have to yell at your people. Sometimes you have to raise your voice and even shout if required. And before you click away, before you think I have lost my mind, hear me out. Because what I am about to share might be the most loving thing that you can do as a leader. And I am somebody, I was born, I was raised in India. I naturally grew up as an introverted, as a shy, as a very soft spoken, good, nice kid, which also meant that never raising my voice, which also meant always being soft and certainly never shouting or yelling. So much so that for a large part of my life, people would have to ask me to speak louder because otherwise, in a normal way, they would not be actually be able to listen to me even when they are sitting right in front of me. That's who I was, right? And it took me a while that love or being caring for somebody else or being nice has nothing to do with being gentle, being soft all the time. Today I know that thinking, that notion that I can't be loud, I can't yell, I can't shout was wrong, and it was costing me my growth as well as the growth of the companies that I was part of, the teams that I was part of, and including those in my team. So today I partner with some of the best leaders on this planet, whether they are in business or whether they are outside of the business world. They're doing something in sports, they are doing something as a non-profit. And I want to tell you today why your obsession with being the nice leader might be the most selfish thing that you're doing and might be the real thing that is holding you back in your mission, in whatever change, difference you want to make in the world out there. So this is the biggest lie that is going around in the leadership world, that being empathetic means being soft, that showing love means avoiding conflict or avoiding having a direct confrontational conversation, and that being a great leader means being nice to people. And I want to today call bullshit on all of that, because I used to hide behind this facade as well. I would have team members who were clearly not performing, who were toxic to others, who were playing small when they could be great, when they could be playing big. And I would have these polite little conversations like, maybe you can try this differently. Can you try this one more time? Can you try changing your behavior? I understand you do this, but I was wondering if you can improve on that. Like all of this nice little politeness feedback. And while I was doing that and waiting for them to improve, I was actually watching them stay stuck. I was watching them like not just stay stuck, but also causing damage, spreading negativity sometimes in the teams around them. Like I'm watching their careers stagnate. I am watching other people getting impacted negatively. And I'm calling this empathy, like my empathy. I'm being nice. I'm doing everything that I can. And I can't be more direct. I can't be more bold in my approach in this feedback. And again, that's not empathy. That was not my empathy. That was not me being a nice boss. That was not me being a polite person. That was me being a coward. That was me being timid. And that is dressed up in nice words like empathy, taking care of others. Real empathy, real love, sometimes it sounds like this. This has to stop now. This cannot happen again. If it happens again, this will be the consequence. I love you, I care for you, and this will be the consequence. And this is what I'm sharing is for your improvement, because I care about you, not because I hate you, not because I want to be loud, but because I care about you so much. I'm willing to tell you, if this continues, so first of all, this can't continue, but if this continues, this will happen. I remember one of my first roles as a leader. I had this brilliant engineer who was constantly undermining team decisions by having side conversations. After whatever meeting, he would have side conversations which would undermine whatever we were doing as a team. It's classic passive aggressive behavior. And for months, I let that slide. And I had these gentle, constructive conversations, and nothing changed. And one day, after he had completely derailed our project with this attitude, I finally got real with him. I was not yelling, but I was very direct. I was very firm with this person. And I told him, this ends today, right? This cannot happen one more time, not even one more time. And you are too talented to be throwing away your career, your talents like that. This is what I told him. Now, this guy did not like it then. But that conversation changed everything, not just for me as a leader, for the project as a team, but even for this person as a professional. He later told me that it was because of this feedback that he finally grew up. He finally learned like what he is actually capable of, and then to do justice to those talents and to actually stop habits or patterns of behavior which were too comfortable, which were too easy for him. And in the last 5 years, this is what I have learned from working with some of the best leaders out there. Different people have different languages in which they listen and understand your message. Some people need the gentle nudge, right? For some people, that is enough. Some people need that private conversation, the careful feedback, and that is fine if it works for a person. But then there are also some people who need a little fire, right? They need to know that you are serious. Your tone needs to match the gravity of the message before they can listen, before they can understand. And I remember coaching a CEO who was once struggling with their head of sales. And this guy, the head of sales, was very talented, but kept on making the same mistakes over and over again. And my client, who was the CEO, kept on having these polite and very diplomatic conversations with him. And as you can guess, nothing changed. And I asked my client very simply, when was the last time you raised your voice with the head of sales? And he said, never, I can't do that. I asked him, why not? He said, because I don't want to be harsh, because I don't want to be seen, or like that's not who I am. I am a nice person. He told me that would not be professional. So here is the thing, right? This is not about being professional or nice or empathetic. This is about, first of all, being authentic, right? If you are being nice, if you are being empathetic, if you are being professional, but you're not speaking your truth, that's worse than being empathetic. Empathy without authenticity is just weakness. It's just timidity. It's not even empathy. Authenticity is the birthplace of leadership. Right? If you can't be authentic, don't be empathetic, right? That's bullshit. So here's the thing, right? This was not about being professional for him or even for me for most of my life. This is about being comfortable, right? We are worried about our own comfort rather than the other person or how they will react. So in this case, I challenged my client, right? What if the most loving thing, because he wanted to be loving and caring. So I asked him, what if the most loving and caring thing that you could do is to get uncomfortable? And what if your politeness is actually preventing people from becoming who they can be? What if your politeness, your niceness, your being professional is actually coming in the way to do the job that you were hired to do, like, which is your responsibility? And it was an eye-opening moment for my client. And the next week, he had a very different kind of a conversation with his sales head. He was very clear, very direct in his messaging without raising his voice. He was also very clear in the consequences, right? If this continues, this means the company is not growing. This means you are going to be replaced. Like, it might not even be my decision. Like, the board might force me to replace you. And earlier, the CEO was hiding this information or this consequence. Now he communicated it very clearly, not with harshness, not trying to be rude. And you know what happened? Like, the guy, the head of sales, actually thanked him. Like, he said, like, oh, you care so much about me. Thank you. Like literally, thank you for telling me this in no uncertain terms. See, now before you think that I am advocating for toxic leadership, right? Let me be crystal clear about something. There is a massive difference between being animated and being angry, between being firm and being cruel, right? When I say raise your voice or be willing to raise your voice, I'm not talking about losing your control. I'm not talking about humiliating somebody. I'm not talking about abusing somebody. I'm talking about simply matching your energy to the message that you want to communicate. And to match your energy, not just to communicate the message, but so that the message is understood by the person that you're speaking to. And if your message is not being understood, then do something different with your energy, with the volume of the voice, the tone of the voice, so that it is understood. See, this is what I have learned, right? Sometimes love is loud. Sometimes being caring does not look like caring. And when I am coaching leaders today, I get animated, I get provocative, I challenge them. My voice many times gets louder. Sometimes I am sitting on a chair and I get up from the chair because I want to bring in some energy. And it's like I'm trying to break through a barrier, I'm break through their listening. So I'll do whatever is required in that moment for their sake, from a place of service, from a place of love, which is what your role as a leader is, to help people around you grow and become better leaders, become better professionals in the first place. And in those moments, is my voice raised? Yes. But am I angry? No. And am I loving and caring? Yes, absolutely. So you can raise your voice without being angry. So here is what your fake niceness is actually costing your team. First of all, it is robbing them of growth, right? When you're too polite to give real feedback, you're keeping them stuck. You're choosing your comfort over their development. Second, it is also teaching them that mediocrity is acceptable. When you don't address problems directly, you're not communicating a message to them but also to everybody that if we let go of our standards, average or just good enough, that's good enough, right? You communicate that to everybody. And third, it is destroying your own credibility as a leader, because people can see when you are tiptoeing around an issue. People can see when you want to say something and you actually say something else. When you are inauthentic, right, it cannot be hidden. People can sense it. You lose respect with your people when they see you operating that way. And I had a client who was frustrated with his team's performance, and in our coaching session, I asked him, what is it that you have told them about their performance? He simply responded to me that I have given them feedback. Once again, I asked him what kind of feedback, and he said constructive feedback. Yeah, that word again. So he told me that he told them that they could improve, that people in his team could improve. But I asked him, did you tell them that their performance at the current level is unacceptable? And he told me that I don't want to be harsh. This leader was watching his team fall, and he was calling his silence kindness. He was calling his soft language empathy and not wanting to be harsh. Well, that's not kindness. To be very blunt, that's cowardice, that's timidity. And I can speak about it powerfully because I know that's how I have lived most of my life. So I'm not speaking from some high stage to you today. I'm speaking because I have lived most of my life that way. And that hurts, like even today, speaking out loud, that hurts. So how do you do this? How do you raise your voice with people but with love? So first of all, check your intention, right? Are you raising your voice because you are frustrated and want to vent? Or because you care about this person and need to break through their resistance or their listening? And if it's the first one, if you are angry, you are frustrated, you want to vent out, then don't have that conversation. Go for a walk. That would serve you better. But once you see that it's the second reason, that you care about somebody, then speak about it honestly. Raise your voice if you have to, but don't vent. Don't direct your energy at somebody else. Direct it at the behavior, not at the person, right? So that's the second thing. You can speak in language which addresses the behavior. You can say this behavior is unacceptable. You don't have to say you are unreliable. You don't have to say now I can't trust you. You don't have to say I don't want a person like that in my team. You don't want to make a character remark on their character. You don't have to make judgments, but you can still unequivocally address the behavior and call like that behavior. What happened? That behavior is unacceptable and I know you are better than that. And third, do it privately, right? Public criticism is humiliation. Private criticism is an investment in the other person's growth. Also, it is very important, right? Once you share your feedback in no uncertain terms, that don't disappear after that. Follow through, stay in touch, check in with the person. Make sure that they know that you care. This is how you do it. You don't just give feedback and then leave the person on their own to improve. You offer your support, you offer your help, you check in like continuously. The most important thing, right, is also tell them that you care. Tell them why you are giving them direct feedback, right? Stay in touch with them. If they're hurt, clean that up, right, with them. Apologize like for what you said, but not for saying it. Make sure they know that you care, because you do. Make sure they understand the message, because that's your job. That's what will make your company, your team successful or unsuccessful. I had a team member once who kept missing deadlines. And after several polite nudges and conversations, I finally said, right, this is the third time this month that this is happening. And I need you to understand that this is not working, right? And we need to figure out a solution. So the way that we are working is not working. So let's together figure out a solution after that. And together we came up with a solution. The person agreed on few changes in their behavior, and I kept in touch. I checked in every now and then, offered my support, and the person improved their behavior. But it all started with, this cannot continue this way, right? This has to end. Without those words, there is no urgency, there is no gravity in the message. Now in those moments, was my voice raised? Yes, maybe yes. But was I angry? No. Was I like hurting the other person? Certainly no. I shared this message only because I cared about them so much. So here is the truth, right? If you are not willing to make your people uncomfortable, you are not willing to also help them grow. If you are not willing to risk being disliked, you are not willing to be a real leader. Like if you want to become a strong leader, you will be disliked or judged sooner or later, right? So stop hiding behind empathy. Be empathetic, but don't be empathetic at the cost of authenticity. Be nice, but don't be nice at the cost of authenticity. Be kind, but don't be fake kind, right? Don't use these buzzwords as a end unto themselves. Real empathy sometimes requires you to be the bad guy in the moment so that you can be the good leader that somebody else needs to give them a very important message. It might shape and uplift their entire career after that. And most importantly, your people, if you are a leader in any capacity, your people are counting on you to care enough about them to push them. So don't let them down by being too nice and not even telling them what they need to hear in the first place. After all, right, we all remember and we all thank those people who were harsh, who demanded a lot from us, even if they were not being nice in the moment, but because of which the trajectory of our life's path shifted. So be that leader, because your people are counting and waiting for you to show them the path, even if it means raising your voice. So thank you. Thank you for listening. And now go ahead and have these conversations with your team that you have been avoiding.